Hey, it is 12 noon on Wednesday, which means it's time for this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. I'm John Christopher, and the show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. Every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you live to answer your questions about the technical side of real estate. And today, we're talking about all things listings. When I say listings, I mean real estate listings, meaning that you've got a seller that employed you to get their property sold. How is it that we get paid for this? How is it that we find these listings in the first place? When we're trying to convince the seller maybe to use us as opposed to another agent or whatever their objection may be, how do we overcome those objections? What are the things that commonly occur, and why do we want listings in the first place? Why not just focus on the buyers rather than listings? We're covering all that today. Listings are essential. There's a saying in real estate, you got to list to last. I'll say that again, you got to list to last. And we're going to talk about why today and how to get you there. I'm John Christopher. You're watching Ask the Instructor.
You are watching Ask the Instructor. Absorb the knowledge. Become the expert.
Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. I'm John Chrismo, and this week we are answering your technical questions about real estate listings. You know, what is a listing in the first place if you're new to real estate, or maybe you're not new to real estate and you're wondering, well, how do I overcome objections that I get on a daily basis when trying to get listings? How do I find these listings in the first place? So we're going to walk through all of that today, all the essentials of real estate listings, because like they say in real estate, you've got to list to last. And let's start out with that, actually, why it is that they say that you've got a list to last. So when you go out to go buy something, let's say that so much of the stuff we buy online now, but let's say we're going to the store. Let's say we're going to go buy a car. You know, a lot of car sales this past Memorial Day weekend. If you went to go buy a car and they don't have any cars for you to buy, why would you go there? The car dealers, they invest millions of dollars to have these massive car lots of car upon car upon car. So every possible combination of options and colors and whatnot, they have in stock to be able to sell to you because of the inventory. And even companies like Tesla, they don't really carry inventory, but they've at least got the demo models at their little Tesla stores and whatnot. It makes it very difficult for you when you don't have the instant gratification of having inventory available. So that's the way the marketplace generally works. When you want to go out and buy something, you buy from somebody who has it. Now, in real estate, it's a little bit different because by joining the Association of Realtors and getting access to the multiple listing service, you have access to show basically any of the properties that are listed with a realtor in your market, which makes it easy on us because we don't necessarily need the inventory. So there's a lot of agents that get by only working with buyers, and they're just bringing buyers to other agents' listings that have sellers, and they're just representing the buyer. And that's one way to go about it. But when we're trying to seek out clients, when we're trying to market ourselves and advertise ourselves to potential clients, if you've bought a house before, what is it that you were thinking about when you were buying a house? Well, you're going to maybe think of how many bedrooms you want, how many square feet it is, whether you want a pool or not, how big of a yard you want, what kind of floor plan it is that you want. It probably doesn't cross your mind once the type of real estate agent it is that you want. You know, people don't go to sleep at night and dream about us, unfortunately. They don't have their dream real estate agent. They have their dream house. And we're the agent that's supposed to help make that possible, help get them into that house and find them that house and get that all taken care of. But they're thinking about the property. They're not thinking about us and what it is that we can do. So I see so many agents that advertise their service. And you know, that will work, but not nearly as well as when you're advertising the product, when you're advertising the housing that is available for sale. That's why so many people have the websites where you could search the MLS right on the agent's website or on the brokerage's website, because people don't want to go on a website to read about your real estate team or your brokerage or anything like that. That's all kind of filler crap that they don't really care about for the most part. What they do care about is the house it is, the condo it is, the townhouse it is that they're looking to purchase. That's what they're getting excited about. And they expect us to be able to handle this professionally. So going back to why it is that you want to be able to carry listings and why they say you've got a list to last, because when you have this inventory, when you have these properties, you could take these properties and advertise them and market them. And if you don't have any listings, you could occasionally borrow some from your brokerage or other agents at your brokerage and borrow their listings to be able to advertise it to entice in some buyers. But when you have this product, this inventory to showcase, to advertise, it helps get your foot in the door, because you'll get people calling interested about those particular properties. They might not buy that property it is that you have advertised for sale, but they might buy another property. I mean, you have access to all the properties that are in the MLS. So if they don't like that property, well, I have another property is that I can show you. They're not going to ask, well, is it your listing? No, they don't ask that. They'll say, oh, really? What's the other property? And maybe you ask, what is it that you don't like about this house? Oh, well, we wanted 4 bedrooms. This one I see it only has 3 bedrooms. Well, you know what? Did you like this neighborhood? Yeah, I really do like this neighborhood. It's just that this one's got 3 bedrooms rather than 4 bedrooms. Oh, no, I completely understand. I understand that 4 bedrooms is a lot better way to go. I think I actually have a 4-bedroom property I could show you in this same neighborhood. Is tomorrow at 11 o'clock good to go see it? So, yeah, we didn't get our listing sold, the one it is that we had for sale, but now we've picked up a buyer just by putting our listing out there, doing what it is that our seller already expects us to do, which is market and advertise our listing for sale, whether this is from Zillow, they're calling us, or Realtor.com, or our own website, or however it is that we're advertising and marketing this property for sale. When we get calls about this property, every call coming in, they might not buy the property it is that you have listed, but they want to buy a property, one that's at least pretty similar to what it is that you have listed. Maybe yours isn't perfect, but let's go find them a perfect property. That's the nature of the brokerage business. It's not like we're going on to a Chevrolet, to go back to the car dealership analogy. It's not like we're going to a Chevrolet dealership and, I really just don't want a Chevy. I want to go buy a Ford. And you're not going to hear the car dealer say, well, let's go take a look at the Ford dealership. Maybe they'll have some like used Fords or something like that on their lot or something. But if you wanted something new, you'd have to go through somebody else. With real estate, it's completely different because we're brokering sales. We're bringing together buyers and sellers, and we're the middleman. So we have access to all this inventory, but if we have our own inventory, it helps us get more leads. It helps us attract more buyers, and it also helps us attract more listings, because when we stick a sign out in front of that listing, it tells everyone in the neighborhood. It's an advertisement to everyone in the neighborhood. Hey, I'm selling this house. If you want me to sell your house, here's my number. So, rarely do we have people that buy a house because of the sign it is that they see in front of it. It does help, and I'm by no way saying that you shouldn't have the sign in front to try to get buyers, but more importantly, that sign is going to be hinted is that you're dropping to anyone that's been thinking about selling in their neighborhood, because those are the people that are going to be driving by that property the most. So having the listings really helps you carry inventory and collect more inventory and get more leads. Now, you're not limited to just selling your listings, but when you have your own listings, even if you don't sell it, somebody else is going to sell it, so you do the work up front. And this is another reason why listings are so important and so crucial, and why you want to be able to master being able to get listings if the opportunity ever does present itself, or you find yourself in that opportunity to obtain a listing. So according to the National Association of Realtors, they collect the data on how long it takes to close a buyer versus to close a seller. They collected data. They surveyed thousands of agents, and they asked, and they came up with these averages. On average, of actual working time, hours that we're spending with a particular client, it takes 24 hours to close a buyer. So buyers take about 24 hours on average. Sellers, believe it or not, only 8 hours. So what's that tell you right there? It tells you that working with sellers, which this is where you're getting the listing. You're meeting with a seller, having them sign a listing agreement, and then you're providing services to market their property for sale. That's what a listing is. Whenever you hear this term listing, when you browse real estate listings online, these are listings that are put up by real estate professionals. And the reason why these listings are so coveted is this is one of the major reasons right here. Aside from everything else it is that we've talked about that make listings great from the beginning here, from getting buyer leads to getting seller leads to having inventory it is to advertise. On top of all that, 8 hours on average time to close a seller versus 24 hours of time to close a buyer. So we could close 3 sellers in the same amount of working time it would take us to close 1 buyer. And we're typically, it's usually that there's usually not a difference that we're charging the sellers 3 times less and 3 times more for the buyers because of the work. No, you're usually getting paid the same price. So you make about 3 times more per hour of working time working with the seller. Now, this statistic isn't anything that's new. This has been around for years. And even before this official statistic, brokers knew that, working with a seller is overall a little bit easier than working with a buyer. It takes less time. That's because there's a little bit more indecision here. The seller knows they want to sell. It's just really a matter of negotiating now the price and the terms, where we've got to do that for the buyer, but then on top of that, help them find the home it is that they do want to be able to call home, do the inspections, do all the stuff to protect the buyer and make sure that the buyer is taken care of. Whereas the seller, a lot less burden of work it is that we have to do. So that right there is probably the biggest reasons. Now, I'm not saying to turn away buyers. Now, the goal of getting listings is to find some of these buyers here because you want to fill up your schedule. You want to fill up your time. Now, I know a lot of people might be starting a real estate career to be able to have, freedom and the ideal life and so on and so forth and be able to, do certain things when and decide when it is that you want to work your own schedule, be your own boss. And those are all great things associated with real estate, but you got to put in the work. You've got to put in the work because if you get your real estate license and then go hang out at the beach, you're not, maybe, you actually probably could if you get one of those shirts. There's so many creative ways to market. I've seen shirts, people that say realtor, and you just kind of wander around at the beach and go talking to people, maybe find some business that way. But yeah, if you're going to the beach, do that. If you're at your kid's soccer game or baseball game or football game or whatever game it is they're playing, talk to some of the other parents there. And they say, oh, what is it that you do? Oh, I'm in real estate. Oh, really? I've been looking to sell my house. Boom. Easy client to get right there from your sphere of influence. But the point being, and maybe it's a vacation, maybe you're just going completely outside of Florida to go vacation somewhere. And those are all great things it is that you can do. But when you're not doing that, fill up your time. And the more it is that you put into this, the more it is you're going to get out of it. So if you're just looking for a mediocre existence and just looking for average pay for realtors isn't great. I think average pay is something like $50,000 a year. Don't quote me on that. It's somewhere around there, which, nothing crazy, but you don't want to be an average realtor. If you're an average realtor, and it is a little bit higher in Florida because we have a little bit higher average purchase price in Florida for property, but if you just are looking to be average, that's one thing. You have $50,000 a year, that'll get you by, and you really don't have to do a whole lot of work probably to get to that. But if you want to be making 6 figures a year, 150, 200, 250, maybe even $1 million a year, that's where you want to put in the work, because what you put into this, you'll be able to get out of. It might take a little bit more work than you expect in the beginning, but once you refined your craft, once you understand what it is that you're doing, that's where you start to streamline things. You start to be able to work more efficiently, and you start being able to pick up sellers. And you should set yourself a goal of how many listings it is that you want to carry at any given point in time, whether that's 10, whether that's 20, maybe that's 25. Maybe you start out with 1. Hey, I want to get 1 listing. I would recommend you start out with, okay, hey, I want to get 3 listings. Because what you'll see is until you've got this refined, until you've got this figured out, until you've got everything smooth and efficient, you might have some stumbles. You might trip yourself a little bit. You might lose a couple deals. But that's okay as long as you've got other people you're working in your pipeline. Maybe that person that you met at your son's soccer game, maybe they're just not ready to sell right now and they're not going to be ready for 6 months. Don't take it out on them. They just aren't ready to sell their house yet. That's fine. Call me in 6 months. I'll call you in 6 months, matter of fact. Who else needs to sell their home? And you get this pipeline established up. I mean, you don't want to be the desperate person that's out there trying to grasp at everyone, and everyone it is, oh, you want to sell your house? No, sell it now, sell it now. Right now is the time. You need to sell it now. I mean, you look desperate when you do that. But when they say, oh, I'm not ready yet, oh, I completely understand that. When was it you're thinking about selling? Oh, probably about 6 months from now. Oh, that's great. And did you want to have it sold in 6 months, or did you want to start trying to sell it in about 6 months? Oh, well, I want to have it sold in about 6 months. Well, tell you what, I'm going to put it in my calendar to give you a call in about 2 months, because that's when we should start talking about getting this ready to go. Let me ask you this. Are you planning on doing any sort of improvements or anything like that to the property? Oh, yeah, well, we got to paint it. We wanted to put in a new kitchen, and we're putting on some new lanai off of the back. Well, before you start doing anything, if you're planning on selling the property that soon, let me just come out there, take a look at the property, and give you a little bit of advice on some of the things that will get you a return on value versus not get a return on value. I've seen so many sellers put more money in their property than they're able to get out of it, and I would just hate to see you lose money like that. What would be a good time for me to stop by? And now we're getting our foot in the door. And now notice how we took somebody that said, and this is that objection handling thing I'm talking about here, they said, oh no, we don't want to sell for 6 months. So first we have to get to the core, that we have to get to the root. We have to understand what it is that they're really saying. Are they saying they want to start selling in 6 months, or are they saying that they want to get it sold in 6 months? Because if they're looking to have it sold in 6 months, at a minimum, we want to have 3 months between putting it on the market of when it is we want to have it sold. I mean, they're under no obligation to accept any offers. They're under no obligation to actually sell the property. We're just putting it on the market. So if they're looking to get it sold in 6 months, we want to have it in the market 3 months out at the minimum. And that's why I said 4 months. Because, there might be a little bit more it is we want to talk about. And then notice how I built it up right to today. How we're within 6 months, okay, it's go time. We're warming up right now. You're doing repairs? Oh, let me get out there, because if you're planning on 6 months, you're probably not doing these repairs for yourself. You're doing it to get more money out of the property, correct? Well, let me come out there, because I've seen so many sellers put more money into the property than they're able to get out of it. And I don't want that to happen to you guys. You guys are a close friend of mine. Just all kinds of things like that it is that you could do to speed up the process, to get in there. Now, you're not going to speed them up on the sale, because they're still looking to sell 6 months down the road, but we're speeding up getting to interacting with us. And yeah, we're putting in a little work ahead of time. Most of the work it is that you put in of this 8 hours is done up front. Whereas with the buyer, we're doing a lot of this work on the back end, and that's how it kind of flips around there. They do most of the work on the back end. We do most of the work on the front end, working with the seller. So we start building this relationship, and the reason why we want to start building this relationship now is so they remember that we're the person it is that they talk to. We're the person it is that's going to get their property on the market. I mean, if you've got somebody from your sphere of influence that already knows you, that already trusts you, that already knows that you're a nice guy, you're a nice girl, and that you're professional, you look professional, I mean, the deal's almost done for you. The deal's almost done for you at that point. The statistic, I don't have the exact statistic, but it's something like 90%, maybe it's 75%, somewhere in the range of like 75 to 90% of people will sign with the first real estate agent it is that they meet with. They'll sign with the first person it is they meet with. So your goal is to be that first person. If we took that first route of saying, hey, yeah, call me in 6 months when you're ready to sell the property, they're going to meet somebody else that has a real estate license. They're going to start thinking about it. They'll maybe go on somebody's website and research some stuff on there. And then what will happen is they'll end up selling their property. You're like, you said you were going to call me. So you've got to take the initiative on that. Hey, I'll put it in my calendar here 3 months out to call you, because that's when we want to get the property in the market at the very latest. We should really start talking about 4 months out, 6 months from now. So I'm going to put something on the calendar for 2 months out, and I'm going to give you a call. Matter of fact, I'm actually going to be in your neighborhood. Maybe you live in their neighborhood. So, hey, why don't I just come over after the game and just take a quick look at the property? Oh, no, it's not clean, it's not tidy. Hey, look, I've seen some terrible properties. I'm not going to be, you're not going to be anything like some of these properties that I've seen. I just want to take a quick look around and give you some advice on some of these repairs it is that you're going to do. And what we're doing now, we're getting in the door and we're establishing the relationship. So when they are ready to pull the trigger, we're ready to go. We've already got them sold on us, and these are the easiest listings to take because we've established the relationship. The hardest, most difficult listings to take are when we randomly have somebody that wants to sell that we've never interacted with before, but somehow we get an appointment with them, whether this is an inbound lead or whether we were calling somebody. We'll talk about who it is that you could call to try to pick up some listings. But we're on our appointment now, and during this appointment, we've got to build rapport, we've got to go over the terms, we've got to get the agreement signed, and leave them feeling good out of this meeting. And that's the most difficult to do all in one appointment. Whereas when we spread this out, we develop the relationship over time, it becomes a lot easier to get the deal locked in. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. Dave, I see you send in a question on YouTube. I'm going to get to that in just a second. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Stick with us. I'm John Christopher. You're watching Ask the Instructor. If you've been thinking about real estate, look, in this current market, it's hard not to. There's so many opportunities that exist out there for residential real estate, commercial real estate, business brokerage, property management. I mean, it's ridiculous how much opportunity lies from having a real estate license. So look, if you've been thinking about getting a real estate license, I mean, it's minimal cost compared to starting other careers and starting other businesses to get into this. So I urge you to check it out and give it a try. I mean, even if you're just using your license for personal use, you've got huge, immense benefits there. Go to this link. It's licensefl.com. That's licensefl.com. Put that link in the description. It's got your step-by-step guide to get a Florida real estate license. And look, check it out. Give us a call. We're here to answer any questions it is that you have, and go out there and make some money.
Does your current career allow for unlimited income potential? With a career in real estate, the sky is the limit. What you put in is what you get out. Find out more about how you can tap into the unlimited income potential of a career in real estate at tampaschool.com. Did you know that statewide only about 50% of test takers pass their state exam on the first try? At the Tampa School of Real Estate, we've broken down passing the class and state exams into 4 simple steps: learning the information, reinforcing the information, testing your knowledge, and being confident and prepared. View the details of the full strategy at passfirsttry.com. That's passfirsttry.com.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. I'm John Christopher. This show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. Every Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you live to answer your technical questions about real estate, whether this is information that you might need to know to pass your exam, and so far we really haven't talked about much for exam purposes, but this is essential information that you want to know once you have a real estate license, which we talk about as well. And before we get back into talking about listings and talking about some of the sources of listings and whatnot, so David Watson commented in over on YouTube, do buyers and sellers tend to go towards name recognition versus the smaller brokers? FYI, I just passed my online course. On to the next step. So congratulations, David, on passing the course. Get in there and go get that state exam done and get out there. And so I guess you're asking this question as far as choosing a broker, which is definitely a valid question, because that is something that the big name brokers, the Century 21, Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, Remax, those are all like the top brands in real estate. You go pretty much anywhere in the world and they're going to know those 4 brands of real estate. And so you might wonder, why would I join somebody without a name when I could join somebody with a name? And let's address what it is that they're claiming, that people know who it is that we are. There's name recognition, and that's not a lie. That is absolutely true. But now the real question isn't whether or not there is name recognition, but how much that recognition is actually worth. It probably will help you, unless maybe they had a bad experience before. It could definitely shoot you in the foot then. These being such large organizations, there's a lot of people, and overall they're good. That's how they got to the position it is that they're in. But there's been some bad apples in there, and if there's a previous agent that had spoiled a relationship with a client, and you're from, even if it's a completely different, maybe they moved from California to Florida but when they moved to Florida originally, they worked with this brokerage, and you work with that same brokerage, completely different brokerage company, but still the same franchised name. And you call them up and you tell them you're from ABC Realty, and they say, oh no, I've dealt with ABC Realty before, no thanks. So that might happen as well. That name recognition can go both ways. It usually is going to be good. It's usually going to help you more than it's going to hurt you, but that's not the sole thing it is that you need in order to gain a listing. That might be something, an angle it is that you can work if you do have one of these big name brokerages, but these big name brokerages, any brokerage for that matter, that has lots of agents, you want to be careful when you're a new agent joining a big brokerage like this, because you don't want to be just a number on a roster. And at the same time, you also don't want to be at a one-man type of organization, because they probably don't have the systems and the support it is that you would need. So you want to probably find that happy medium. There's some really great big brokerages that have an extensive support system to make sure that no agent gets left behind. But this is all things, when you're joining a broker, it's really the reverse of an interview. It's not where they're interviewing you. They might ask you a couple questions. They're like, oh, what are your goals? Oh, this is how we can help you achieve your goals. But you want to ask the questions of number one, what's the commission split? How much it is that you're getting paid? Number two, what type of training it is that they have. Number three, what type of mentorship programs is it that they have. Training is important, but training is not the only thing. I used to say that training is the most important, but now pretty much every broker has a pretty decent, if not amazing, training program. But where a lot of brokers will lack is having a good mentorship program where you're not getting lost. This could be the broker mentoring you. This could be some sort of team leader mentoring you. This could be just another agent in the office that you're friends with, and they said they're going to take you under their wing. But you want that support system there to help you through these first couple of deals. And that, I would say, is ultimately more important than worrying about the name recognition. Don't make that be your deciding factor as to whether or not it is you're going to join a brokerage, because that's something that very easily can be overcome. Let's say that we are interviewing against another agent. They already interviewed one agent, and now they're interviewing you. You know what that tells you? That first agent couldn't close the deal. That first agent, the statistic I just said, I got to look that up next time we go on break, but it's something like 75 to 90%, somewhere in that range, higher the first agent it is that they meet. So that agent blew it and didn't get the deal signed, and now they're giving you a shot. But one of the things it is they might see is, hey, I've never heard of your real estate brokerage before. Most real estate brokerages, if you're not Coldwell Banker, Keller Williams, Century 21, or Remax, the client probably hasn't even heard of your brokerage before. And maybe even if you are one of those big four, maybe they still haven't heard of you. And then that name recognition is all worth for nothing. So how it is that we overcome this? Hey, look, I completely understand that, we're not an international company all over the world. We're very centralized. We're actually based out of Tampa, or we're based out of Florida. You just want to have some sort of response to that. That's what they're looking for. They're looking that you have some sort of response. If you say something like, oh yeah, whoa, wow, they're with Coldwell Banker, why didn't you sign to them? That's Coldwell Banker. If you say something like that, I mean, that's obviously not going to get you the deal. If you don't have an answer to it, it's like, oh, well, yeah, we are a little bit smaller, but, we make up for it. That doesn't really sound that good either. So you want to have a good answer, good explanation for this here. And if you're joining a brokerage that really doesn't have much name recognition, if at all, you can't expect that to come up. It's probably not going to come up as often as you think it would, but it probably will come up. So you want to have an answer prepared for something like that, and you want to practice it. Maybe something along the lines of, hey, I completely understand, but did you know that our brokerage has actually been around in the Tampa Bay area serving clients since 2007, or whatever the case may be. Have the background, because what they're asking, what the real question is I don't know who you are, and I don't know if I trust you with the biggest deal it is I'm going to be doing in my life. That's the real question it is that they ask if they're saying, hey, I've never heard of your brokerage before. They're saying, hey, are you experienced? Do you know what you're doing? Do you have a track record of serving clients? That's the real questions it is that you're asking. And once you understand those real questions it is that they're asking, now we could kind of talk to these things. And how do we know what's most concerned with them? We ask them, hey, yeah, I never heard of you guys before. Oh, yeah, I completely understand that, we don't have as much name recognition as the big international brands there, but what is it that concerns you the most about that lack of name recognition? Oh, I don't know, I just never really heard of you guys. Oh, are you worried about our track record? Yeah, I'm just worried. I just want to make sure I'm making a good choice here and somebody that has experience. Well, let me tell you about this, blah, 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 blah. We have this many deals we've closed this year. We have this many deals we've closed. And that doesn't have to be your deals. That they're asking about your brokerage name, and that's who you're teamed up with. You're teamed up with your brokerage. So all these objections, it really starts with getting down to the real question, agreeing with them. Notice how I said, yeah, I completely understand that. We don't have as much name recognition. I mean, don't try to pull the wool over your heads like, what, you've never heard of us? I mean, yeah, we're bigger than Remax. We're bigger than Keller Williams. We're bigger than Coldwell Banker. Really? Why haven't you heard of you yet? So that's not going to work. I mean, you don't want to try to pull the wool over their eyes. But you want to say, oh yeah, I completely understand. I mean, we're not an international firm like those ones, but we actually do market our properties internationally. Now, what is it that you're most concerned with the lack of name recognition? I don't really know. Is it the track record? No, you already told me about all the properties it is that you guys have sold. Okay, well, is it the exposure for your property that you're worried about? Yeah, I want to make sure the most amount of people see the property is up for sale. Now we know what the problem is. Well, completely understand that. And let me show you what it is that we do that sets us apart from every other brokerage that's out there, how it is that we market your property for sale. So notice how you have these answers for these things, but once you have the specific question, a lot of times people will ask these general questions and they're going to get in return a general answer. And if you try to generalize and overgeneralize everything, you don't get anywhere. But when you can get down to the nitty-gritty, down to the specifics, and find out what their specific objections are, say, oh yeah, I completely understand that you want to get the most exposure out of your property. Let me go ahead and show you now our marketing plan of how it is that we're going to get more exposure than any other brokerage out there is going to be able to get for your property. So you go through that. Now, do you agree that this is going to get you the maximum exposure possible? Well, no, I'm still not sure. Well, what is it that you think would get us more exposure? We could look into doing something like that. Well, I don't know. I've seen these drone videos. Well, I mean, hey, I've got a drone guy that's here. It is part of our higher tiered package. We charge a higher commission to do the drone, but you know what? If is there any other issue that other than having a drone video? No, that's really the only thing it is that I want that I think will really help sell the property. Well, if I throw in the drone package here, do we have a deal? You know what? Well, what is it that's still holding you back? So now notice how we keep asking these questions, but we're not just asking the questions, we're soliciting answers. That's really what it is that we're trying to do. We're trying to get the answers, trying to get the information it is that we need so we know how to act on that information. And they might say, I'm just still not sure if, again, let's talk about the name recognition one. Let's say they give us an objection. Look, if you guys have any objections it is that maybe you've encountered or you think you might encounter, send those in the comments, because I love doing this stuff. I love trying to overcome these things. So let's say another one about the name recognition. And let's say we asked, well, are you worried about our experience? Yeah, I just want somebody that's got a lot of experience dealing in real estate. Hey, look, I completely understand that. I would want somebody very experienced as well. Did you know that we actually have 25 years of experience combined across our entire brokerage? And that's really easy to add up. I mean, that's 5 people with 5 years of experience. That's 25 years. I mean, if we've got some 10-year people or whatever the case may be, I mean, we might have hundreds of years of experience. And again, this comes down to getting into the specifics of all this stuff here to figure out what it is that they're truly concerned with so we could give them the appropriate answer. We don't want to try to tell them about everything, because if we try to tell them about everything, they're not going to really retain any of it. They're going to be overwhelmed. They don't understand what it is that we're talking about, and they're going to think that they're making a bad decision, and they'll want to deal with somebody who will make them understand. So sometimes you just got to keep it simple to make it more effective, to make it more efficient, to make it possible to close more deals. So let's talk a little bit more about a listing. Let's talk about some sources of the listing. So we went over that first example where, we had somebody from our sphere of influence, we're at our kid's soccer game or whatever the case may be, and we just come across somebody it is that we know, that we're talking about what it is that we do, and they're like, oh, you're in real estate? I actually need to sell my house. Well, great. Where's your house? Tell me a little bit about it. Oh, it's this, blah, 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 blah. Okay, when is it that you're looking to sell? I'm looking to sell in about 6 months. Oh, okay. Did you want to get it sold in 6 months, or are you looking to start selling in 6 months? Oh, well, we want to really be moving out in 6 months. Oh, well, we need to get working right now on that. Really? Oh, yeah. There's even before we get it on the market, there's a lot of counseling and consulting I'd like to do with my clients to make sure that the property is ready for sale, that you don't put money into the property, that you're not going to be able to get out of it, and that we're really primed to put it on the market and get it under contract as soon as possible. Okay, yeah, that sounds great. So that's maybe one way it is that we go about this, dealing with our sphere of influence. Another way we could go about this, where we're trying to be a little bit more aggressive, I would say, of reaching out to the people it is that we know. Look, your sphere of influence is great. The people around you are great because they already know you and they might already have a certain degree of trust for you. But your sphere of influence, is limited to just the people it is that you know. And you don't want to limit yourself to just the people it is that you know. So what are some other sources that we could go through and find some listings? Man, my handwriting is terrible today. Do that one more time. So we talked about the sphere of influence. Another big opportunity is expired listings. So let's talk about trying to get a listing from an expired listing. What is an expired listing in the first place? So an expired listing, a listing that expired, this is when somebody listed the property on the market for sale. They hired an agent, they hired a brokerage to list the property for sale. They signed maybe a 6-month listing agreement or maybe a 3-month listing agreement, maybe even a year listing agreement. They signed some sort of agreement, some term, and during that term, during that time, the property did not sell. That's what an expired listing is. That means that the listing period, the listing term expired, meaning that they wanted to sell their house, but it didn't sell. These are usually the easiest to kind of scoop up outside of the people it is that you know. This one should be, as long as you're doing your job and you're making sure you're known as the real estate professional, you're insulted if they don't use you with your sphere of influence. But that comes back to you and making sure that they know that you're the competent, knowledgeable professional to help get their property sold. Now, expired listings, on the other hand, we're reaching out to people it is that we don't know. We're calling up the owners of these properties that had the expired listing. And what it is that we're doing and where it is that you get these phone numbers, there's a lot of services out there that you could pay for, that you could buy these lists of phone numbers. Make sure that you're complying with the do not call list and everything like that as well. But when we call up somebody that says, hey, look, I saw that your property was on the market and available for sale. Oh, yeah, are you another realtor calling trying to get the property listed for sale? You realtors are worthless. And now we talked about name recognition earlier. And just your whole industry can have name recognition if they dealt with somebody poorly in the past, if they had a bad experience with a realtor in the past. So let's say that's how the call opens up. We call them up, hey, I'm calling about your property for sale at 123 Main Street. Are you still looking to sell that property? I see that the listing expired. Oh, are you another realtor calling me? All you realtors, you've been calling me nonstop, and our last realtor was a complete joke, and I just really don't want to use a realtor anymore. Now, if they're still on the phone with you, that means that they want to talk. They're just upset. They just needed to get that out. They needed to vent a little bit. So now, how do we overcome this objection? The objection that realtors are terrible. And we know that this isn't true. Now, there might be some realtors out there that don't hold themselves to the professional code of conduct it is that they should. But how do we address this now? We don't want to take personal offense to this and say, oh, what do you mean realtors are terrible? I get more homes sold than you've ever sold in your life. How is that going to work out? Imagine that scenario and how that will play out. It won't. So we're on the phone with them. That realtor I hired, we had the property on the market for a year, and we needed to sell in 3 months, and he said he could get the job done, and he couldn't even sell it within a whole year. We gave him a whole year to sell the property. So what you want to start off with, especially when somebody is, at a 10 like this, and they're not happy with, maybe not specifically you, but the type of industry it is that you're in, or really any time it is that they're unhappy. We want to let them get their words out, because if we start chiming in, let me tell you a little bit about this realtors. You're telling them that what it is that they have to say is wrong. It's not important. So we don't want that. We want to let them speak. We want to get that information out of them. And that's a good rule of thumb anytime you're talking with people, is let them finish their sentence. Don't interrupt. Don't jump in because you've got something that's more important to say than what it is that they're saying. And it's rude when you do that. So don't interrupt them. Let them finish what it is that they have to say. And once there's that little bit of a pause where they're wondering if you're still there, say, oh, hey, look, I completely understand with that. I mean, there's some realtors out there. I mean, most of us are very good at what it is that we do, but there's some out there that just don't really care about this. I mean, who knows, they might have been having a bad month, a bad day, or a bad year is what it sounds like with that there. I'm surprised that your property didn't sell within the year. But then I actually looked at the listing just now. I pulled it up while you're talking about this, and I see that they only took 2 pictures of the house. Yeah, well, I told them that you should have took more pictures of the house. Oh, I'm completely with you there. I don't know why I would only take 2 pictures there. You must have just had more important things to do, or didn't have time to take more pictures, or really hire a professional photographer, because that's actually what I do for all of my listings. Oh, really? You bring in a professional photographer? And now notice how the dynamic of the conversation has changed. It went from them, oh, realtors are terrible, talking and saying all these bad things. We let them finish. We let them talk. We're gathering data of what issues it is that they had and what it is that we could gather from the things it is that they're saying. They don't like realtors. Their last realtor did a good job. They needed to sell in 3 months. They couldn't. They had it listed for the whole year. They were loyal to that agent even after they disappointed them after that first 3 months. So this is a person that gave it their all, but their agent didn't give it their all. Their professional it is that they hired, their brokerage, their agent, whoever it is that they hired, didn't give it their all. So now notice how I kind of start to change the dynamic here. And you say maybe some of the things like, okay, well, what else was it that this realtor did that or didn't do that kept your property from getting sold? I'm curious here, because I mean, this property, it looks like it should have sold, especially given a year. Oh, well, you know, it's you always try to get appointments at bad times or whatever it may be that they're giving us here. But again, they're giving us data on this. Okay, I completely understand that. Now, are you guys still interested in selling the property? Now, once it is that we've got them warmed up to us, now we can start to make this transition to where it's a little bit more sales pitchy. And not really that sales pitchy, but we're getting to that sales element there. Rather than just the counselor, we're now putting on our salesman hat, and we go from finding out, you know, what happened, what went wrong, and we start to talk about, hey, well, if we could get it sold, are you still interested in getting the property sold? Yeah. Well, I'm confident that we could do a better job than any realtor out there, especially this last one that you used, because you know, we just pride ourselves, we hold ourselves to a higher standard, whatever it is that you're going to say with this here. What would be a good time for me to come take a look at the property and see if there's anything else it is that we could do to get the property sold? Oh, well, you know, I just want to kind of keep it off the market for a little bit and wait it out. Hey, look, I completely understand that there. When was it that you needed to move out of the property? Well, you know, we needed to move like 9 months ago. Okay, well, where was it that you guys were moving? Oh, well, we had a house picked out and we lost our deposit on it because there was a new construction home and we couldn't close on our home, so we lost our deposit. Oh, really? Was the realtor assisting you with that new construction contract? No, we were just dealing with the new construction. Well, I could actually help broker that sale as well, and in the event that your property doesn't sell, you guys don't lose any sort of deposit or anything like that. You know what? I could actually contact that builder and see if we can maybe stir some things up. I can't make any guarantees, but maybe we could even get that deposit reused here. Would you like me to see if I could find out if we could do something like that? Oh, yes, I would. Okay, great. Well, first I'll just have to meet with you to have you sign some paperwork first before I'm legally able to do this on your behalf. Okay, when's a good time? So notice how we've changed that dynamic there. But that's what you've got to understand working with expireds. They might not be as bad as it is that I had just put out there. They might be, oh, you know, we do want to sell, but, you know, maybe the market's not right now, or maybe they're not as negative as that example I just gave. But generally, the tone, the theme kind of expired listings is they wanted to sell, they tried to sell, they didn't sell, they couldn't sell, and they're not happy about it. That they're maybe considering not even selling the property. They're maybe thinking that being able to sell their home is something that's for other people, and they can't do it. So there's disappointment, there's resentment, and I mean, it sounds like, oh, why would I want to deal with these people? Because if you are truly a professional and you can help them and you can do a better job than the other people that have tried to get their home sold, and you could show them that, they're going to be receptive to what it is that you say, as long as you, again, let them vent, find out what it is that their agent did wrong. Maybe you talk about how you're going to put their property on this certain website. Maybe you say you're going to get their property on Zillow and on a premium ranking on Zillow. Oh, our last agent did that and it didn't get us any effect. Well, crap, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot with that there because we didn't have the data. If we didn't solicit those answers, if we didn't ask those questions and get the answers about what it is that their agent did and what it is that they did and didn't do that kept the property from being sold, then we can get in it. Maybe it's an issue with price. A lot of times with expired listings, another issue is the price of the property. And maybe we bring that up when we're talking about it. And you see, so let's say we're talking with this client on the phone, and we get to the detail of price, and we say, hey, I see that your property was listed for $350,000. How was it that you guys came up with that number? Oh, he came in here with some sort of report he had printed out from his computer from some sort of website, and that was the number on there, so that's the number we went with. Okay, I see that. After a month or two, when the property didn't have any offers, did you get any offers on the property? You just didn't like them? No, we didn't get any offers on the property. Okay, I see. Just hold on here. I'm just taking some notes. And when you say something like that, you're taking some notes, you're actually taking notes. The notes will help you remember, and they're going to appreciate that you're taking notes on what it is that they're saying. Yeah, let me take some notes here. Okay, so you listed it off of the value that was given to by some sort of computer website, something like that. You didn't get any offers on the property. Let me ask you this. After the first month of not having any offers on the property, did the agent talk to you at all about doing a price reduction? Oh, yeah, well, he said that, but I asked him if that's what he thinks it needs to get sold, and he said he wasn't sure. And I said, well, why are we even doing this if you're not sure it's going to get sold? So we just kept it the price it is, and we figured we'd wait it out. Okay, I see here. And now what we would be doing is we'd write down a note, because we want to do a more thorough presentation, especially if the property is overpriced. If you could deduce that the property is overpriced, you don't want to try to tackle that over the phone. That's where you kind of have to walk them through it, especially when they're kind of stubborn about the price, like this example that I'm giving here. That's where you want to say, okay, well, I'm going to go through and do a much more thorough valuation right there, manually, on paper, and I'm going to involve you in that because you probably know that neighborhood. How long have you lived there? Wow, you've lived there for 10 years. Yeah, you probably know this neighborhood and some of the houses in there better than me, and we're going to walk through this together and figure out what would be the appropriate value for your property. And if that's too low, look, we don't have to sell, but I'm not a miracle worker. I'm not going to be able to sell it for 10 times higher than the market value, but I will do the best I can to get us the most money for your property as possible. Does that sound fair? It does. Okay, great. What would be a good time for us to meet? So that's kind of the dynamic it is that you're dealing with expired listings. So yeah, you're kind of walking into the trenches with expired listings because they got burned by a realtor before, but ultimately, if you know what you're doing and you can kind of point out the things it is that the previous agent did that didn't help the property get sold, maybe hurt the property getting sold, then we could have a fresh start. We could have a new experience. And a lot of times they're already willing to decrease the price. Now, if it's something like having bad pictures, I mean, I've seen some properties that are listed that they've got like 2 or 3 word descriptions, and I look at them like, what are they doing? Don't they know that people actually read these things? And they have that 2 or 3 word description. On top of that, they've got 2 pictures of the property, sometimes even 1 picture of the property. So, I mean, that's definitely bad on our part, but that could also be coupled with the pricing. And by doing a more thorough valuation of the property, we're able to kind of come to what the best price to be to sell that property, be able to compete with the other listings on there and maximize the value it is we're going to get the seller, while at the same time being able to sell it and not just having it sit on the market and dying off. So that's expired listings. That's kind of when you're getting into that route. We're going to talk about some more sources of listings, but first we're going to take a quick commercial break, so stick with us. I'm John Christopher. You're watching Ask the Instructor. Hey, so if you're thinking about starting a real estate career, it could feel a little overwhelming sometimes. Look, that's completely understandable. That's why we're here to help. If you haven't already, check out our Success Center, tampaschool.com/success, or if you don't even know where to begin, give us a call. We'd love to help you out. We've got advisors standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way it is that we can. Our phone number is 813-928-0106. Again, that's 813-928-0106. Give us a call. We're the Tampa School of Real Estate.
Do you want a career that allows you to be in control? With a career in real estate, you'll get to call the shots. Whether you're looking at starting part-time or want to become the next top agent, a career in real estate makes it possible. Find out what it takes at tampaschool.com. Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Are you thinking about a career in real estate? Hey, I'm John Chrisma with the Tampa School of Real Estate, and we've helped thousands of people just like you obtain their real estate license. If you're thinking about a career in real estate, give us a call. The phone number is 813-928-0106. Our advisors are standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way they can. Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. Every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you live to our current students, past students, as well as future students to answer your questions about real estate, the technical questions, the things it is that you might need to know to pass your exam or that you might need to know to be successful in the real world. A lot of times those two paths cross. And what we're talking about today is listings. And we talked about why you want to take on listings, what those benefits are. There's a lot of benefits. There's so much that the saying is you've got to list to last. To last in real estate, you got to be able to take on listings. We talked about some kind of common objections it is that we get, but we're also talking about the listing sources now. And we talked about your sphere of influence. Pretty easy to get there, but your sphere of influence is really limited. So if you want to be a top producing agent, you either got to get to know everyone in town or work into some of these other categories here to kind of go straight to the people who are ready to transact with you. Expired listings are a good source. Another good source. For sale by owner, FSBOs. For sale by owner, meaning that they're trying to do it on their own. They're trying to sell the property themselves, which is perfectly legal. They could sell the property themselves. They're probably not doing themselves any favors, though, by trying to sell the property themselves. They might think that they're saving money by selling the property themselves. Well, I could save and not have to pay a commission if I sell the property themselves. Let's say we're charging a 6% commission total for the entire transaction to pay us, to pay the buyer broker. We charge 6%. This is the ammunition. This is what you've got to have in your holster when you're dealing with for sale by owners. Did you know that according to the National Association of Realtors, that using a realtor, we could get you anywhere from 10 to 25% more than you're able to sell it for on your own on average? Even if I only got you 10%. If I were to give you $10,000, would you pay me $6,000? No, I would just rather just keep my $6,000. But what if I was giving you $10,000? Would you pay me $6,000? And that's a conservative estimate. That's on the 10% side. Would you pay me $6,000 to get you $25,000? 6% to get 25%? I mean, and that's dealing with a $100,000 property. If we're dealing, let's say, with a $300,000 property, would you pay me $18,000? Actually, if I gave you $30,000, because you don't have to pay me in advance, if I gave you $30,000, would you pay me $18,000 for getting you that $30,000? Well, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Well, that's what will happen if I get you 10% more than what you're able to sell the property for on your own with a $300,000 home. If you could sell it on your own for $300,000 and I could sell it for $330,000, I'm getting you $30,000 more. It will come at a cost, but that cost of 6% is $18,000. So you're walking away with $12,000 extra in your pocket. Does that sound like a good deal? Yeah, it does. Well, let me show you. I'm only going to take a couple minutes of your time. I'm going to be in the neighborhood this day next week. If I could have a couple minutes, I could show you how it is that I get that 10% more. And now what will happen is they're going to say, oh, they're going to show us how, they're going to show us what it is they're going to do. Good, I could just listen to what it is that he says and then go do that myself. That's what they're thinking. So that's what you got to remember with the for sale by owner. And what you've got to do some research and fact finding on, and maybe just ask these questions here. Maybe you say something like, hey, I'm going to prepare some net sheets for you that are going to break down how much it is that you're able to walk away from with the property. But in order to calculate that, I need to know your exact balance on your mortgage. Do you have your last month's statement handy somewhere? Or do you know roughly off the top of your head at least? If they don't have their last statement, do you know roughly off the top of your head about how much it is for the mortgage balance? Okay, I'm writing that down right now. If you find that statement beforehand, just text me at this number here and give me that exact number, because I would like to get you down to the penny of what it is that you could expect to walk away with based on the different price points we might be able to sell your property at. And what it is that we're doing here, we're finding out, can they even afford? Because sometimes you might find in the for sale by owner situations that their loan balance is here and they're trying to sell right here. They're just trying to sell right for how much money it is that they owe on the property. And this isn't so much that they want to do it on their own, they want to save money, but they're really their only option, at least what they think, is that they can't afford to pay a realtor. That they can't afford a commission because their loan is already here and they're trying to sell here. Well, in that case, we might be dealing with a short sale. Now, if you know how to do a short sale, then you know that we could still work with them there and we could potentially negotiate this differently. But if you're not comfortable with that, maybe you refer it out. Say, hey, look, it sounds actually like you're dealing with a short sale situation here. I'll be honest with you, I'm not the expert on short sales, but I have somebody in my office who is. Do you mind if I give them your phone number? And again, it's no obligation. Just talk to them, find out if that would be a good solution for you. Yeah, that's okay. Now you've got a lead that you could refer to the expert in short sales, whether this is in your office or whoever it is that you know that deals with short sales. I mean, obviously you need to know somebody who deals with that to be able to refer the business to them. But you could charge them 20, 25, 15, 30%, whatever it is that you two negotiate. Hey, look, I've got a lead here for a short sale. Will you pay me 25% of your commission? Yeah, of course. Or they might say, no, 25% is too high. Okay, how about 20%? Oh, okay, how about 15%? All right, 15% is fine. So now you're getting 15% just for making that phone call. That's a $10,000 commission, $1,500 right there, just in a referral fee. So even if you can't service the client, there's probably other people that can, but you got to know these options that are out there. But let's say it's not a short sale situation. Let's say they do want to move into another home and they need so much money for the down payment on this other home. And that so much money they need for the down payment represents basically their equity it is that they have in the property. And for the property that the price it probably will sell for, they maybe can't afford to pay a commission. So, how do we make this work? They can't afford to pay us if we want to get the equity. I mean, the less knowledgeable agents will probably just try to jack up the price, realize it won't sell, then do price reductions until we can get it sold, and then ultimately they're left selling the property for less than if we priced it right from the beginning, and they're unhappy with us. They're unhappy because now they've got to do a different loan program or something like that. But after we go through and do a thorough valuation of the property and figure out what it is that we could sell the property for and then what it is that they're going to net, if that doesn't cover how much it is it's going to be for their down payment in their next home, maybe they're trying to do a 20% down payment or 15% or 10% down payment. What if I told you that there's 5% down payment options? What if I told you there's no down payment options that are out there? Depends on where it is that you are, who it is that you are. Will they be able to qualify for that? Not sure. We'll have to get you in touch with one of our lenders that handles those types of programs. But I do know that they exist. I do know that it's a possibility. And if you're looking to get the property sold, even using a realtor, we aren't going to be able to get you that price. That's too, where you've got to do these thorough market valuations. I mean, the low-hanging fruit out of these here, where they have no idea what the value is, they've got tons of equity in the property, and they're just trying to get it sold, and they're just being cheap. And, these might sound like bad clients, but if they're just being cheap, that's very easy to overcome. You just show them the value it is that they offer. You'll probably have them at that point where you say, hey, if I get you $30,000, will you pay me $18,000 in return? Well, yeah, I mean, I'd rather get the $30,000 myself, but what if you can't get the $30,000 yourself? Only I could give you that $30,000. Would you give me $18,000 for giving you $30,000 after I gave you the $30,000? Yeah, that sounds fair. Done. That's what matters to people that are just being cheap. And that's maybe one type of client it is that you have with a for sale by owner. But it could be these more complicated situations where maybe they don't have any equity in the property, or maybe the equity it is that they have, they're trying to use the down payment on their next home. And maybe they're just, kind of Googling some things themselves, and they haven't really even dealt with, well, where is it that you guys are moving to? Oh, well, we haven't really picked a home yet. We've had our eye on a couple in this neighborhood. Well, let's go out there and take a look at some of these homes here. And I don't actually even charge a commission to my buyers. They're all pre-negotiated by the seller. So that one's on me here. Oh, well, okay, that sounds fair. So now we're kind of handling all this here. A lot of this, it comes down to building the relationship. Remember, with listings, you're doing a lot of work on the front end. Overall, it's a third of the work it is that you would typically do with a buyer, a third of the actual working hours that you're spending with a buyer, but you're doing a lot of this work up front. So it might seem like a lot of work up front. Maybe you have some trial and error getting some of these listings, but once you've got a system down, once you know how to work with expireds or for sale by owners or sphere of influence, some other things it is that you could do, we'll talk about quickly. Some sort of valuation page. So maybe you advertise something, whether it's Google pay-per-click or Facebook advertising or Instagram or Twitter or any of these places it is that you could advertise, and you say, find out the value of your home. Who wants to know the value of their home? People that are considering selling their home. They want to know how much they could sell it for. So that valuation page, they put in their address, they put in some information, so we get their contact information, say, great, we'll have you a valuation report within 24 hours. And that's it. No really sophisticated software required for something like that. It will require spending money in advertising for something like this, whereas these options are fairly low cost. Really, you could go find for sale by owners for free, basically. You could go on Craigslist and search for properties available for sale and find the ones that aren't listed by brokers. And you've got a free way to find for sale by owners. Same thing with your sphere of influence. That's also free. Expired listings, you probably have to pay for some sort of phone list to be able to get these phone numbers. Maybe your broker provides that. Maybe that's another question you ask your broker. Do they provide a lead list or anything like that? The valuation pages, those definitely can work as well, but these you do have to put money into advertising because no one's going to show up on that valuation page magically. You've got to pay to get them there. So that's maybe another thing it is that you could do. Maybe you're offering some sort of guide. This is another one that you could sell online. Guide to selling. Maybe you call it something a little thing more catchier than that. 10 things you need to know before you sell your home. 20 things you need to know before you sell your home. I met somebody not too long ago that's got a 250-page book about buying property in Tampa. I think it's a little on the long end, but obviously that's something valuable to, in exchange, get contact information and get a potential lead. So those absolutely do work as well. There's so many ways it is that you could pick up listings. The best source of listings, I would say, are other listings. By having listings, by you having listings, putting that sign out in front of the property, I said this earlier, that's an advertisement to everyone in the neighborhood, not only that the home is for sale, but you're the one selling it, that they should contact you if they want to sell their home. Maybe you go out there and you go door knock the neighborhood and say, hey, I just want to let you guys know that the house down the street here, I just put that on the market in case you've got any friends or family that are looking to move to the area. This property is not going to last long, especially with the way it is that we market the property. Oh, well, thanks for stopping by. You know what? My friend actually has been looking for a home here. They might want to buy here. Oh, girl, that's fantastic. Whereas you might get another reaction. Oh, I don't want to tell my friends and family here. I'm actually looking to move out of this neighborhood myself. Oh, really? When is it that you're looking to move? And they're like, uh-oh, they're trying to sell me. And then they start backing off and they say something like, oh, we're not ready yet. Oh, no. If you had to put a number on it, though, when was it? Did you say you're ready? 3 months, 6 months? A year? Oh yeah, probably next year it is that we're gonna sell. Now next year, is that when you want to have the property sold, or when it is that you're thinking of starting to market the property for sale? Well, we want to have it sold next year. Okay, great. Well, I actually have this guide I could give you that will to break down the things it is that we need to know, and I actually could set up an appointment to stop by and give you guys some advice on some of the things that were you planning on doing any improvements to the property? When we talk about that first, you plan on doing any improvements to the property? Oh yeah, we wanted to paint it, we want to do this and that. Well, before you do all those things, I really don't have time right now, but tomorrow I'll actually be in the neighborhood as well, stopping by to drop something off of that property I've got listed down the street. So we drop that in right there to show that we're already doing it for another property in the neighborhood. Dropping something off down the street there. I'll be in the neighborhood. Do you want me to stop by for just a couple minutes and give you some advice? Because I've seen so many sellers put more money into the property than they're able to get out of it. And yeah, there may maybe a year down the road. Maybe that year is really only 9 months or 6 months or maybe even only 3 months, and they were just saying that to get you to back off, to say, oh no, I'm not a hot lead, get away from me, and so they maybe give you false information. But now when we start to develop that information, that relationship, we start to get the right information. So that's maybe another way. You use your listing, you're going knocking on doors, or maybe you're not doing that. Maybe you're just dropping off flyers. Maybe you're just mailing to people in the neighborhood. Whatever it is that you're doing, there's so many ways to market to try to attract listings. And these ways all involve some sort of investment of either time or money. Your sphere of influence, cultivating a sphere of influence, that takes time. Expired listings, time and a little bit of money. For sale owner, really mostly just time. Valuation pages, mostly just money. Guide to selling, maybe mostly just money. Other listings, money and time. So you've got to match up with what's right for you. If you're a new agent and you're strapped for cash, you're trying to get your first couple of deals closed, call some for sale by owners. I mean, they're the toughest people, really. These two, probably more so for sale by owners. The for sale by owners are typically the toughest unless they've been on the market for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and they haven't been able to sell the property. And they're probably wondering, well, it's not my house. My house is perfect. It must be me. So that's where, even then, these aren't really that difficult. But this is for free. You could go on Craigslist, like I said, and look at the properties that are available for sale that aren't listed with a broker. Call them up, or better yet, just stop by, just knock on the door. Hey, I was driving through the neighborhood here and I saw that you guys' his house is for sale. Oh yeah, are you interested in buying it? Well, I'm not. I'm actually a realtor in the area here. I have a couple buyers that actually might be interested in purchasing the property. Do you mind telling me a little bit about it? So now they're getting to open up to us, and we might ask the question, okay, and how long have you had the property on the market? Oh, we've had it on the market for about 6 months. Okay, what have you done to market the property for sale? We put it on Zillow. Okay, great. What, did you have a photographer come in and take any pictures or anything like that? Oh, no, we just took it with our phone. So we're finding out this information, and you start getting the details, and maybe something like, hey, I can't believe this property actually hasn't sold yet. With the right marketing, we could probably get this property sold pretty fast. Now, what I want to recommend is, I don't have time right now, but tomorrow I'm going to be in the neighborhood, and tomorrow afternoon, do you have a couple minutes so we could sit down and just kind of go over what it is that I could do to help get the property sold? It will cost a little bit more than 2% to do that, but if I could get you a higher price than what you're able to sell the property for and actually get it sold, would you be willing to pay a higher commission? I would consider it. Okay, great. What time would work good tomorrow? Oh, tomorrow I'm actually busy. Well, I could actually come out here Wednesday. What time works for Wednesday? Oh, Wednesday I'm busy. What time would work good for you? So we get something down. We don't leave without getting the appointment. And that appointment might not go perfectly. We might not get the listing, but we're one step closer. We're establishing that relationship. A lot of agents will go on an appointment, they'll mess something up, and then they'll just be embarrassed and they'll never want to talk to that person again because they're like, oh no, I didn't know the answer to their question. I can't talk to them again. But, week later, they might not even remember that. Week later, they might be more receptive to what it is that you have to say. So they've said this before, the fortune is in the follow-up. And it really is. The problem is just most people don't do the follow-up. If you stay in contact with people, you build this relationship and follow up with them, even if you don't get the deal right then and there, you'll get it eventually. That persistence will win out as long as you're in the right place at the right time. And you just put yourself in that place all the time, and eventually it'll be the right time. So that's listings. We're about out of time for today, but I hope this has offered you some sort of value. I know this is just the tip of the iceberg with real estate listings. We've actually got a lot of other great episodes on real estate listings on our Success Center. If you haven't checked that out yet, it's at tampaschool.com, tampaschool.com/success, tampaschool.com/success. That's our Success Center. We've got hundreds of videos on there, articles, calculators, tools, all kinds of stuff to help you prepare for your success in the real estate industry, because that's what we're concerned with, making people successful in real estate. Whether you're one of our students or not, we want to see you be successful, because even if you aren't our student, you will be in the future if we help you become successful. You want happy customers for life? You make them successful. Successful in selling their home, successful in buying their home. For us, successful in starting a real estate career. So that's what we're out to do. That's our mission, to help make you successful. That's why we've got our Success Center. Again, tampaschool.com/success. Just type in listing in the search, and you're going to see all kinds of videos about listings. Whatever it is that you want to learn about, type it in there. You'll probably find something. If you can't find something, message us and we'll make a show about it to answer your questions. That's about all the time we got for today. Thank you guys again for tuning in, and I'll see you Friday for State of Real Estate.
If you've been thinking about real estate, look, in this current market, it's hard not to. There's so many opportunities that exist out there for residential real estate, commercial real estate, business brokerage, property management. I mean, it's ridiculous how much opportunity lies from having a real estate license. So look, if you've been thinking about getting a real estate license, I mean, it's minimal cost compared to starting other careers and starting other businesses to get into this. So I urge you to check it out and give it a try. I mean, even if you're just using your license for personal use, you've got huge, immense benefits there. Go to this link. It's licensefl.com. That's licensefl.com. Put that link in the description. It's got your step-by-step guide to get a Florida real estate license. And look, check it out. Give us a call. We're here to answer any questions it is that you have, and go out there and make some money. Does your current career allow for unlimited income potential? With a career in real estate, the sky is the limit. What you put in is what you get out. Find out more about how you can tap into the unlimited income potential of a career in real estate at tampaschool.com. Did you know that statewide only about 50% of test takers pass their state exam on the first try? At the Tampa School of Real Estate, we've broken down passing the class and state exams into 4 simple steps: learning the information, reinforcing the information, testing your knowledge, and being confident and prepared. View the details of the full strategy at passfirsttry.com. That's passfirsttry.com.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.